Carolina State, because you were one of two black girls, right?
I was.
At a predominantly white institution. So how was that experience for you? How did you start?
So I came from a really small gym, and I think that was important because I had to get some foundation, and I had to prove that, you know, I needed a spot there, and I deserved a spot there. So I remember being at tryouts. I did feel out of place my first day. I remember going home to my mom and saying, like, I don't know about the second day. You know, there's not a lot of cheerleaders that look like me. There was over hundreds of athletes that were there. I only saw one other person that looked like me, and that was Mallory, that was currently on the team. And so I remember feeling like I don't know if I'm as confident going back for day two, but I was invited back for day two, and out of 75 cheerleaders, females that made it, I was one of 5, and I was the only athlete of color that hadn't made it. And I mean, it was an experience. I can say that there were a lot of times where felt like I was proving myself. I needed to prove myself, or, you know, I wouldn't get the opportunities that other athletes that were currently on the teams did. And sometimes there were times where I didn't get those opportunities. But, you know, I felt like it was important for me to stay there because I wanted somebody to see themselves on TV, another cheerleader that was out there, to know that it was possible to be on this team. And so I stuck it out. I was there for 4 years, and I can say it was a great experience for me because I made it a great experience. Beyond, you know, coaching, beyond different things that went on, I felt like the team was very welcoming, and it was important for me to be there.
Persevere regardless of what obstacles may come, right?
Absolutely.
So I know you heard of this saying, cheer is life.
Oh yeah.
Right? So since you've been a cheerleader, what changes have you seen in the cheer industry since you've become a coach, you know, hopping onto the other side?
Absolutely. So my first experience, I graduated, and I thought I was done, and I started cheering again, but then I moved and started graduate school, and it was my first experience of being a coach. I came on at North Carolina State as an assistant coach there, and it was my first time having to coach adults. So that was already different. I'm like, I'm just barely an adult. How can I coach these adults? And that was the first time that I really felt the change, because down south, obviously it's Southern, they go to a different competition, NCAA Nationals. That was my first experience seeing all music, seeing these cheerleaders competing completely to music, 2.5 minutes. Like, it was eye-opening, where I was used to traditional, you know, you cheer, you stop, this, and then you go into do a dance, and then you go back to cheering again. Right. And so that was a big shift for me. Seeing the athleticism of these kids being able to compete, and they only do it one shot. That's it. You just get one nationals per year, and I saw the way that they had to train. They had to do games as well as compete. So that was a big shift for me, knowing that there's a different type of competition out here. Cheerleading, tumbling really has been boosted a lot. You know, when I was in school, it was a tuck. It was the main thing, standing tuck. But you go down south, and these kids have to have, you know, a lot more tricks. Tumbling is a lot more on the scorecard. And so they really have to make it known that they're athletes. And it's almost like a performance. It was the first time that I realized that this is a performance and these are athletes. So there was definitely a shift. And then now as a coach, I'm kind of shifting my thinking, and every year I have to make sure that I'm making upgrades. I'm continuing to get training. With it possibly being a card for Olympics, I know that there's different things that need to be put in place to get ready for those athletes to make it to that level. So there's always going to be new skills that are going to be added. There's always going to be new levels maybe that are added. There is more opportunities for athletes that don't have tumbling, which is really cool. But it's shifting. Every year it changes. And so you just have to make sure that you're training yourself to make sure that your athletes are ready for the next level.
And what about seeing more young black girls, more girls, more athletes of color in cheerleading, you know?
Yeah, I can't say that, you know, coming from Ohio State, moving down south, it was the first time that I saw more diversity than I've ever seen in cheerleading. And so that was something to be proud about. Harold and Annette made it a point to make sure that their team was diverse and that they had the skills and they gave everybody a shot. And so that was the first time that I felt like, man, you know, we were making some gains. Moving back to Columbus, I still kind of saw that there wasn't a lot of athletes when I'm seeing the teams, and it boiled down to the training and giving them an opportunity to be able to gain these skills to make sure that they could have a seat on the stage as their counterparts. I want to make sure that the kids are having a chance to gain the skills, know that they can compete and be out there on the floor with their counterparts. So we still got work to do. There's still challenges like any other sport. You know, and it's not female, because obviously we're a female dominant sport, but it boils down to having more athletes of color be able to hit the stage, feel like they're being judged fairly, feel like they have the same opportunities as everybody else.
Have you ever been to a competition where you had restrictions on like braids or, you know, dreads or, you know, any type of protective style?
So there aren't any restrictions, and the funny thing is because a lot of people they create, like I've seen other gyms where they've had two braids, and I think that it comes from seeing you know, athletes of color in our culture, and because we can be so diverse, we can wear our hair in so many different ways and it still look professional, whereas other people are following suit. I have, you know, you still have gyms that are traditional, one hairstyle, this is all that you can get. And, you know, this year I said, you know what, I want to see the personalities come out. And some, you know, there's, in the cheer news, there's flack about that. Some people are saying, you know, they say, no, you know, they can't wear natural hairstyles, or that's not cheer. And to me, cheer is what you make it. Cheer is in the performer. And it's not about how I look or if I look the same as somebody else, because I'm not the same. And so we really used hair this year. And I used to be opposite. I used to say everybody has to have the same hair. But this year I had a coach, and the coaches were like, you know what, let's just go with personalities, and let's just let them express themselves through their hair and through the way that they want it. And so that's what we did this season, and I feel like that it gives them that individuality.
It's ironic. So when you do and dance, you know, you say have attitude, you know, show facial expressions. But it's like the white cheerleader, she's emulating so much attitude, but when we do it, it's like
it's too much. Yeah, and we get that. You know, we get that on our score sheet, and it becomes frustrating because you're like, well, what do you want us to do? It's like you want us to show our personality, but you want it to be in a certain type of way, you know, or it's almost like they have this picture of what cheer is supposed to look like, and it looks like how they do it and not necessarily how we do it. You know, you can have two teams compete the same exact routine from two different cultures, and it'll give you two different vibes.
Right.
And so then it becomes subjective, and that's what we're still dealing with. We're still dealing with, you know, where some things are still subjective, and what you may think comes into play. And that's why I say it's important to have representation on those people who are judging, because somebody needs to say, well, you know, we might need to think about this, because just because they perform it, they're really bringing out their culture, and so should we, you know, deny them a points because of that, you know, if it's still meeting the same standards. So we deal with that all the time. It's definitely, some parts are very subjective, things that we are scored down on. I definitely know our counterparts are not being scored down on, and so, you know, that's where that representation on that judges panel, and, you know, the heads of these companies, we've got to get somebody there that's going to speak out, you know, say we've got to make sure that we have an even playing field.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Cheer institution has grown so big, you now will be partnering with Angel Rice from Netflix.
Absolutely.
And that's a big accomplishment, right? So what does the opportunity mean to you, and what do you hope, you know, to take from it, or what comes from it?
Well, I think it's really big. I think it's important to know that Angel Rice is she is the GOAT of All Star Cheerleading. It is what it is. That's who she is. And I think it's special because she is an athlete of color that everybody knows, everybody respects. They know, and they give her props for what she has. So her mom told us that we were the one gym that she said that she would come and do a clinic with. So that's already big for us. Our girls are looking up to her. They see her even prior to her appearance on the show Cheer, they knew who she was. They knew what she was about. She's always showing that she stands for other athletes of color and athletes in general. And so it was important for me to bring her here to show them that she was accessible to them as well. And she felt that it was important to come down to Columbus, Ohio for the first time and visit the Cheer Institute. So it's definitely a huge opportunity. I think our athletes can gain a lot. We serve athletes of color, but we also serve athletes that are new to cheerleading. And so having somebody come in that is this experience to take the time out to train them is something that they'll never forget. And for us, it's about creating the opportunities, especially when it is someone that looks like them. I think that it's an experience that they're just going to cherish. And then for us, it's, we're still getting our name out. We still want other people to know the opportunities that our gym is bringing. For us, it's much bigger than just cheer. We're developing the athletes in all other avenues, their mental, their physical, helping them out with their families, helping them with academics. And so just providing them with these special opportunities is just icing on the cake and showing them that we, care about them enough to do what we can to bring them special opportunities.